If you pull up wearing a t-shirt that says family law is out to get men, and then you sit there in court and you say, well, judge, I already know what you're going to do. You're just going to make an order that serves my wife because the court system is favorable to women over men. Guess what? The judge right away is going to get into a defensive posture. You're out of rapport already with the judge. Walking into family court without a lawyer, it can feel intimidating, especially when there's high emotions, finances, your children are involved. But representing yourself doesn't automatically mean that you're at a disadvantage. Judges see self-represented parents every day, and most of the time, they're not looking for perfection. They are looking for credibility, preparation, honesty, and someone who can stay focused on facts instead of emotion. The ability to articulate what they want. So I want to offer 5 tips for representing yourself in family court. So here's number 1. If you remember any of them, remember this one. Stay calm and control your emotions in court. It's a highly emotional day, so you need to prime yourself for that day in court. Just remember, anything that we walk into in life that is new and something that you don't do every day is always a little bit stressful. So you should feel the emotions, and you should feel that anxiety about coming into the courtroom because you're talking about very important things. But you need to visualize that ahead of time. You need to know that you're going to be emotional, that your heart rate might be a little bit higher. And you need to prepare for that. Because if you just hold that all in, it's all bottled in, and then the judge says, introduce yourself, and you do, and then the judge asks, well, what are the issues? And then boom, you just like let it all out. You know how that's going to go already. So maybe that's the first thing you visualize, that situation that you don't want, and then think about what you do want as you're representing yourself in court. But judges really appreciate, both from attorneys and self-represented people, staying calm and just being on top of things, keeping those emotions in check as you're going through your matter. Here's number 2. Be organized. Bring organized documents, timelines, and evidence, right? I call it do more walking than just talking. I came up with that phrase prior to the COVID 2020 epidemic. When things changed a little bit, we see more virtual appearances now, but the principle still applies. Verbalizing things is good, but verbalizing and providing proof is great. So documentation is super important, right? Get up, walk around a little bit. Judge, here it is, right? I'm not just talking about my mortgage. Here's the mortgage statement so you can actually see the numbers. Oh, okay, thank you very much. Now I understand and appreciate what you're saying. Judges love to see that, right? They're high fact finders. They want to be certain that what you're telling them is truthful. So when you can back it up with your documentation, you're well ahead than the other person. Number 3, this is a great one. Answer questions directly without over-explaining. I see it all the time. And I even prep with my clients about this. I ask a simple question. Did you pay the mortgage? And I'm looking for, yes, I did, or no, I did not. And what oftentimes happens is my clients, this is when we're preparing for court, they'll say, well, it's normally due on the 1st, but you have until the 15th of the month to pay it without penalty. So I decided that I would pay it a little bit later. And the other side didn't really like that. So, we exchanged some text messages, and I'm thinking here in my head I just want to know if you paid it. And judges just want to know answers to the questions. And when you get into this over-explanation part of it, the credibility just kind of washes away. You lose sight of the target, and you have an opportunity to explain yourself after you answer the question. So it's very important that you listen to the question and answer that question. Courts and attorneys will give you an opportunity to respond. Now, it's a little bit tricky if you're being cross-examined by an attorney because they're designed to lock you into yes or no type answers, okay? So you need to understand how to represent yourself in a courtroom and how and when you are able to explain your answers more fully because both sides have an opportunity to testify, all right? So you will have that chance. But again, answer first, then explain. So you could say, I paid the mortgage and I did it on the 15th because there's no penalty. Now, my spouse didn't like that, but nonetheless, it's been paid. All right, here's another tip, guys. Focus on the child's interest, not just simply mudslinging, attacking your ex. If you are pointing out things, events, behaviors, emotions, actions of an opposing party, your spouse or former significant other, do it in a factual way. all right? The court system is not necessarily looking for winners and losers or who is right and who is wrong. What the court wants to know is, are you a parent who is thinking about your children first? A simple way for you to frame this up is just think about the book from Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. So when you're sitting down for dinner with your children, who do you serve first? Are you serving yourself and eating and then your kids? If you're doing that, you're probably not acting in their best interest. And you might need to reframe things a little bit. Or accept that that's the reality and accept that maybe the other parent is putting the children first. And perhaps that person should be in the driver's seat and maybe have more placement time or more of an impact on custodial decisions. But for you, you need to think about where you are actually in this process. And then when you come into court, think that way. What are you doing to serve your kids first? And thinking about them and their interests before yourself. Number 5, this one, surprisingly, people still miss the mark on. You need to come to court dressed professionally, and you need to show respect to the judge and to the court staff. If you pull up wearing a t-shirt that says, "Family law is out to get men," and then you sit there in court and you say, "Well, judge, I already know what you're going to do. You're just going to make an order that serves my wife because the court system is favorable to women over men," guess what? The judge right away is going to get into a defensive posture. You're out of rapport already with the judge. Now, there might be a way that you can kind of throw down a challenge, so to speak, but you can do that in a professional and respectful way. The way to do it is not to just come in and use the courtroom as an opportunity to protest everything that you don't like about the family law system. It's the system. You have to deal with it. You got to play within the rules of the game, all right? And so do it respectfully. Dress appropriately. You're not in a living room. You're not in a bar or a tavern. You're in a courtroom. And the judge has certain protocol in a way that this judge likes things to be done and wants respectful decorum and people to be treated respectfully, including the court. So start with that, come in through the front door, do things the right way. If you guys stick to these 5 tips, you're well on your way to representing yourself very well in court. We're here at HKK Law Offices, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We encourage you to consult with at least 3 lawyers about your family law matter and choose the one that you trust. Thanks.